Milwaukee's choice for essential radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It's Thursday, Dominic. That makes it Friday Eve, baby.
Hey, happy Friday Eve to you, Crudy Evan on the board, our fair audience. What does that make it? New Year's Eve? We're getting close, baby. We're getting close. I can't wait.
We're nearing the end of the year. Perhaps we'll make some on-air resolutions at some point.
Yeah.
But while all inferior talk radio products are either on break or they got to fill in, we're doing it live, baby. We're doing it for you. And you could be a part of the greatest radio show ever.
It's true.
The well-informed say that. 844-967-2789. Today, Dom. Today, lots to talk about. Did you see that Sean Hannity, who is a right-wing talk radio host, and of course, he's on the Foxy News, our former colleague in this fine industry, Ed Schultz, used to call him Slanted. But Hannity is the newly anointed Trump bitch. Use my coarse language, but that's how the man's being described over in MAGA World right now. Apparently, he's not towing the line, Dom. He's not loyal enough to the Trump line about rigged elections and all that.
Sooner or later, it's really not a secret. Sooner or later, nobody is loyal enough. You know what I mean? Don't you kind of see a cycle here, people? You get Trump, you got a bunch of sycophants, and they get cross with the mega crowd, and then they're out. And Sean Hannity is not immune to that.
Well, Dominic, we talked yesterday on this big show, little opinion piece from the Washington Post. The Trump opponents, the soon-to-be declared candidates, presidential wannabes, they should be a little more afraid of the damage that Donald Trump can do than they are currently. And today, Trump's giving them, let's just say, food for thought.
Yeah.
Apparently, Trump is, not retweeting in that he has not yet rejoined the Twitterverse, but he's sort of endorsing the idea that if the GOP does him wrong, he's going to run as a third-party candidate. Blow it all up.
Yes, absolutely, as we talked about yesterday. Trump would absolutely do this. So, yeah, he retruthed an article from American Greatness, apparently a mega publication that talked about Trump, running third party if the GOP or the Republican Party, doesn't do the right thing in the author's opinion. Trump thought that was a great idea, so he sent it out there to his many, many followers. And I got to tell you, I think you should all listen to what Trump has to say.
Well, and also, Dom, there's some J6 transcripts. Still waiting on the Trump taxes, but the J6 transcripts, they're enlightening in many, many different ways.
And they keep coming out, man. I thought this would be like a one huge dump, but they continue to draw us in. So I'm looking on it every single day. We have more today. Don Jr. was released, Kimberly Guilfoyle, among others.
Well, apparently also Stephanie Grisham, who worked very closely with First Lady Melania. So we get a few insights from Melania Trump. Apparently she wasn't a big believer in the Trump legal team. Brain Trust, the Kraken team that they put
was
together.
That the crazy? I mean, what was a breakdown of the Trump legal teams, right? The crazy and the normals, quote unquote.
Well, there was Jenna Ellis. There was Sidney Powell. There was Rudy Giuliani.
Rudy!
Well, those were the ones specifically referenced. So
Eastman, right? I mean, there's more, but wait, there's more.
Oh, there are many.
Bob?
More,
Bob?
many.
Bob
many.
and Bob?
Bob and Bob. But Dom, let's turn our attention, if we could, just for a minute, to our backyard, my friend. Because right here in the great state of Wisconsin, the illustrious, although somewhat diminished Speaker of the Assembly, Robin Vos, has made a pledge. He's going to try as hard as he can to make sure Donald Trump is not the nominee in 2024.
The only declared Republican nominee, the Speaker of the Assembly in the state of Wisconsin, he's against him.
Let me point out, though, if Trump is the nominee in 2024, Robin Vos will embrace him cravenly and vote for him. Robin Vos, Speaker Vos, started campaigning for Republicans 44 years ago, 8 years before he could vote for them. His politics gave him a lifelong career. Is that where the careerist Robin Vos, careerist opportunist Robin Vos, he is described by Wisconsin historians as the longest serving Assembly Speaker since the state formed. But for the last 2 years, Vos has been the target of insults, taunts, and calls for his removal from leader of his party. Well, that's just one bad apple, and he's nearly rid himself of Janelle Branch and Dom. But now when Tim Brantham's leaving the caucus.
He left, yeah.
Shea Sortwell's still around. Now, as Vos prepares for a new presidential election season that will hinge on Wisconsin voters, and in the wake of a midterm election that delivered Republicans fewer wins than expected, he is signaling he won't vote for Donald Trump if he is the nominee of 2024. I don't believe him, but here's what he's claiming. During my entire life, I have always voted for the Republican, so I'm going to try as hard as I can to make sure Donald Trump is not the nominee, Vos said in an interview with the Journal Sentinel. Vos said he will probably run at least one more term in the state legislature, making it likely he will be the Assembly Speaker when Republicans gather in Milwaukee in July of 2024 to nominate their next presidential candidate. And the GOP presidential field for now consists of Trump alone. But it'll expand in the coming months. At least that's what the Journal Sentinel thinks, Dom.
Trump's presence in the upcoming presidential campaign cycle has Wisconsin Republicans concerned about whether another Trump nomination, could mean for statewide races in the future. Since Trump was elected in 2016, Wisconsin Republicans have lost every statewide race since, except three: Brian Hagedorn's bid for Wisconsin Supreme Court in 19, and this fall's re-election of Johnson and election John Lieber as state treasurer. The shift is especially pronounced in Milwaukee suburbs, once a reliable voting powerhouse block for Republicans, but since 2016 has shifted towards Republicans. Maybe that's why Vos is shifting his opinion on Donald Trump. But Vos also goes on to say, according to Molly Beck at the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, that Vos says Republicans need a positive message. I mean, with Trump as your nominee, I mean, isn't he the most positive guy you've ever met?
Well, who's a more positive messenger than Speaker Robin Vos, Dom?
Right. Vos said a key to winning over voters in these areas is a more positive, forward-looking message. A quote: Donald Trump did a lot of good things when he was president. Tax cuts, regulatory reform. He secured the border. Those are all things we should be proud of. But if he runs again, he will spend most of his time talking about the past, not the future, Vos said.
Wait. If Trump secured the border, then how is Joe Biden's open borders policy even possible? Don't we have a secure border? And didn't Mexico pay for it, Robin Vos?
Oh, great point. No candidate wins talking about the past. They just don't. So I want to talk about the future. I want somebody who's going to talk about the future, and I don't know who that's going to be. I don't know how it's going to work out yet, but whoever runs in 2024, if they spend all their time talking about what should have been, we're going to lose. I think a whole lot of people who in the past have voted Republican are frustrated because Donald Trump, aka the Republican Party, spend all their time saying what they're against. We have a lot to be against. There's a lot of mistakes happening in our country, but I want to show that we have a better answer, not just a better way to argue. Vos is gearing up for a new legislative session. Go ahead, Curdy.
Well, I was just going to say, you don't have either of these things, Robin Vos. All you've got is a partisan gerrymandered legislative majority for the next decade, unless something changes, perhaps in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. But nothing you say or do, Robin Vos, is the will of the people of the state of Wisconsin.
Not his constituents, not the MAGA constituents, and certainly not the Democrats in the state of Wisconsin. A little bit more from your buddy here, Crudy. Mark Belling, a popular conservative radio show host, told his listeners in February, "I cannot stress to you the strength of this revolution in Republican grassroots. They want the Republican speaker out. This disconnect between the state Republican leadership and the elected Republican officials could not be greater. Virtually every member of the state assembly is aligning him or herself with Vos, and virtually all actual Republicans are furious with the selling out that is coming from Vos." This is Mark Belling here, so I would just qualify that. But also, I got to tell you, based on that description, certainly seems to me, Crudy, like the Republican Party in the state of Wisconsin is in disarray.
You know what's not mentioned here, Don? Vos was ultimately reelected to office. He survived the primary by 260 votes over a write-in candidate and speaker. The same year, GOP campaigns for governor focused almost exclusively on Vos, and a Trump-backed primary opponent nearly defeated him in August. That would have been tragic. Senate Minority Leader Melissa Agard, our friend, a Democrat from Madison, who also served in the state assembly while Vos was speaker, said she hopes Vos's desire for more consensus building plays out in the Capitol to put forward policy changes that have been, that have more popular support. Why won't you just compromise with the man? He's going to give you rape and incest exceptions. So what if you don't have the right to an abortion otherwise?
Crudy, he said this: "I have done this long enough that I believe that every election you have the choice to either hit the reset button and focus on the future, or you keep arguing where you left off the spring before. So we have done plenty of that, right? So I'm kind of making the decision to hit the reset button. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of politics being at Thanksgiving and on every football game and movie and TV show and sidewalk when I'm in Madison. It's just too much. So I wish we could take maybe a little bit of a hiatus and say, how about if we talk about things where we could find some consensus? And then if we can't, we can argue like crazy, right?" Vos said about Wisconsin politics broadly. "But we have spent the last 4, 6, 8 years arguing and trying to say why these people are bad, and frankly, we don't even get to and frankly, we don't even get to the why I'm better."
You're not better, Robin Vos. Don't even bother with the "I'm better." I'm gerrymandered. I'm the leader of the gerrymandered caucus. That's the only reason your opinion matters whatsoever, you pompous little man. Come back. I mean, Robin Vos, not you, Dom.
Oh, thank you.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
The Devil's Advocates.
The conservative dating app, The Right Stuff, is failing 3 months after launch. In October, the app, The Right Stuff, had just 11,000 downloads.
The profile creation process also asks users to list their thoughts about the January 6th Capitol riots. 2 reviewers claimed that FBI and police officers visited their homes after filling out their profiles.
The political party that is the Devil's Advocates radio show, live weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m.
We've all felt left out. And for people who move to this country, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at civicmedia.us or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Chance for scattered rain showers tonight, otherwise cloudy skies. Lows level off around 29. Winds out of the southwest 10 to 15 miles an hour. Overcast skies again tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 35. Lows dip down to about 25 tomorrow night. Partly cloudy skies. A dusting of snow Saturday night. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 51 degrees.
When they go low, we get high. The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We are live. You can join us on the phones right now, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, got any big New Year's Eve plans yet?
Not really. I think I'm going to go with my brother-in-law's maybe and party over there a little bit. Going to keep it kind of low down this year. How about you?
You know, I'm looking forward to a New Year's Eve party on the radio, man. Rocker, the Max and crew, they're doing it live on Saturday night. They're taking you up to the witching hour. They're taking you up to the midnight hour.
Oh, nice.
Taking you up to the new year, doing a live broadcast all across the Civic Media Network. So if you're looking for a good time and, you know, maybe you don't want to go out for amateur night.
Yeah, right.
Tune in to Max Inc. Radio. We're going to have Rocker on the big show about 4:20 tomorrow, about this same time. 24 hours from now, watch this space. We'll tell you about all the live bands being featured on the New Year's Eve party. It's a party on the radio. I know Porky's Groove Machine. I've been listening to the promos. We'll talk more with Rocker tomorrow. And then you'll have plans down. You put on the...
I got some tunage right on, yeah.
Well, that's all you really need. Some friends, some tunage, and some tasty buds, man. And it's great.
That's right, man. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Dominic, we've been talking about some backyard politics here. You know, Robin Vos, census finder.
No, really? You know, he's tired of all the fighting and, it's gotten so tough at Thanksgiving and walking down the street in Madison. Well, really, are you being self-reflective whatsoever? Have you looked at any of the policies that you have put forth or jammed through in the last, 4, 6 to 8 years? Where do you want to start, man?
Well, how about the gavel in and gavel out?
How many of them?
Well, how about the failure to take up the unemployment on behalf of Wisconsin citizens during an active pandemic? In fact, the Republican-controlled legislature, they took like the entire pandemic off, didn't they, Don? Like 10 months at least.
Wow, very busy.
Didn't even meet. Kept cashing their checks, though. And Robin Vos got a little kicker besides. Over $300,000 in paycheck protection payments or PPP loans, whatever they're called. Robin Vos cashed that check.
So right, of course. So, glaring hypocrisy, but that's nothing new for Republicans. So he's tired. He's tired of fighting. Well, legal weed, everyone wants legal weed, expanding Medicare or Medicaid. Everyone wants to do that. There's a big percentage of people who want to expand Medicaid using Wisconsin hasn't done that. The other Republican states are doing it as well.
We'll expand charter schools. We'll expand the Commons paying for, churchy education. We'll expand that. And if Tony Evers doesn't, he's a communist. And also we'll give tax cuts to rich people.
Well, of course. I mean, that's what you do when you're a Republican. That's your policy. That is your only policy.
Who could argue with that? What contentiousness does that create? Trickle down economics. Everyone knows that's the way it works, Tom.
Did it work? Did it work? No, it did not work. What else? The lame duck, right? When Governor Evers defeated Scott Walker, the Republicans went out of their way with the help of Scott Walker to, restrict him, to strip some of the incoming governor's powers, to give him a different playing field than Scott Walker had. Do you think that has any problem, causes any animosity with your political rivals, Robin Vos?
Why you keep looking back? Robin Vos wants to move this conversation forward.
Yeah, sure he does. I mean, what about? Okay, so Robin Vos thinks Donald Trump should not run. He's going to do everything he can to make sure Trump was not on the nominee in 2024, the Republican who's got 72 or 73% approval rating among other Republicans, right? That's that same guy who because of his request, Donald Trump's request, Vos hired Gableman at a cost of millions of dollars to quote unquote look into election irregularity. Well, no, I mean, even the right-wing investigation showed there was nothing wrong with it. The audit showed there was nothing wrong with it, but you still go ahead. You try to walk that line. You put Janelle Branch on the elections. What? And now all Robin Vos, he's an embarrassment. Janelle Branch, and she's just the worst. She's not qualified, but I'm going to put her on a committee anyway. And Donald Trump, oh God, you can't have him for 2024. I mean, look at any of those actions that you have done, Robin Vos. Are you the cause of any of this animosity? Maybe?
Well, the fact that he has chosen, and I think it is a personal choice for Robin Vos, not to decertify the 2020 election, Dom. Do you know when Mark Belling says he has turned the Republican base, and I have no doubt Robin Vos has turned the Republican base against himself. I mean, how do we know that? Look at the evidence presented in the primary. A write-in candidate, of course, supported by the former president, but Adam Steen almost beat the guy in his home district. This guy is the longest-serving speaker in Wisconsin's history. It's not supposed to happen like that. But what do we know from the gerrymander? Even guys like Robin Vos, especially guys like Robin Vos, are not accountable not just to what we, as, I'll call myself a lefty, but there are plenty of independents and thoughtful, reasonable centrists listening to my voice right now. Well, we don't matter to Robin Vos, but guess what? Neither does the Republican base. It doesn't really affect his job one iota. The will of the people doesn't control Robin Vos's governance. So when he talks about the contentious nature of the politics around here, well, you ignore the will of the people, you jam it down their throats, and then you wonder why are they so angry? I need longer vacations on lobbyist dimes, overseas preferably.
Tired of politics at Thanksgiving. What about Foxconn, right? Well, you have billions of dollars for Foxconn. You're fine with that. But now what? The WEDC is failing, wholeheartedly failing. That's a failure. What? You guys created this. You guys use this to fund billions of dollars for Foxconn. What a joke.
Well, let me move the conversation forward on behalf of Speaker Robin Vos, because he doesn't want to talk about Foxconn, not today.
Oh, okay. That's the past.
Let's talk about the failure of Milwaukee to overcome the fact that Republicans deplete their resources by bleeding them. They get about 67 cents back on every state tax dollar that Milwaukeeans pay in, right?
Yes.
Addison doesn't send it back. So Robin Vos has a solution. Privatize. Why didn't we all say it? Man, this guy's brilliant. No wonder he wants to talk about his great ideas. Come back. More Robin Vos's great ideas. Listen to the Devil's Advocates. That's a great idea.
Devil Radio 92.7 FM, covering all the malarkey you can handle.
ABC News, I'm Alexis Christoforous. After admitting he fabricated parts of his personal and professional life, GOP Congressman-elect George Santos is now facing multiple probes into his financial background by prosecutors in the districts he represents. ABC's Aaron Katursky has more.
They're primarily interested in the sources of his wealth and how he seemed to go from rags to riches nearly overnight, and whether any of the money that he loaned his campaign, more than $700,000, whether that was done properly. It's not clear that there necessarily is a crime to actually investigate.
Soccer legend Pelé has died at the age of 82. The Brazilian soccer star was the only player ever to win 3 World Cups and is credited for advancing the sport worldwide. Southwest Airlines canceled another 2,300 flights today as it scrambles to reposition its planes and crews. This is ABC News.
I'm so glad you're listening to Devil Radio. It makes me so happy. Boo.
For Civic Media, I'm Terry Bell with this news. Wisconsin's most powerful state lawmaker isn't mincing words while explaining his decision to remove Janelle Branchin as chair of the Assembly's Elections Committee. Speaker Robin Vos tells Channel 27 in Madison that Branchin is no longer qualified for the job. Branchin used the committee as a platform for conspiracy theories about the 2020 election. She even issued subpoenas to local election officials that appear to include language from similar subpoena efforts in other states. The Wisconsin Lottery says this year's ticket sales helped cut property taxes by about $213 for each household. That's down from last year's $230 lottery tax credit. Some people may see a little more or a little less depending on their local school district's tax rate. In sports, the Bulls beat the Bucks last night 119-113. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN, 1580 AM.
You wanted information as election results rolled in, and the Civic Media network of radio stations delivered it live.
I was so impressed with your coverage, and I listened to you guys, and I got all the coverage. It was amazing.
Civic Media, the only network with news reporters and show hosts stationed across Wisconsin, sharing political insight not found anywhere else. Elections or anytime, we are here for you, your local Civic Media radio stations, and streaming on the Civic Media app.
This is Chad Spate. In 1992, I moved to Madison to pursue a PhD at UW, and I started a residential remodeling company called Chad's Carpentry. I was eager to make a difference, to change the world, and I soon realized that our remodeling company was a great place to start. We pride ourselves on understanding how houses work so that your home improvement project actually improves your home, and we love what we do. To learn more, go to chadsdesignbuild.com, and thank you, Madison, for 30 great years.
Salvatore's Tomato Pies, home of Madison's best farm-to-table pizza, is hiring. We are seeking line cooks, prep cooks, dishwashers, pizza makers, bartenders, servers, delivery drivers, and hosts. Sal's offers great pay, free shift meals, paid time off, and health insurance available for those working 30 hours a week. Students are welcome too. Positions available at all locations, Madison, Monona, and Sun Prairie. Stop into any location for an immediate interview or apply online at salvatorestomatopies.com.
Join me, Stephanie Miller, and the entire Sexy Liberal Resistance every morning from 8 to 11 for The Stephanie Miller Show right here on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. Listen live Monday through Friday on Devil Radio, Wisconsin's home for progressive news talk radio.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Thursday edition. That makes it Friday Eve up in here. Coming to borrow some grievances and some review of the Trump taxes. And a little bit later in this big show, we got the J6 transcripts. They keep coming out, so we'll give you some updates. But we're playing some backyard politics. Robin Vos, a thrice appearing guest on this program. Once upon a time, that's all it took, Tom. We declare someone a friend of the Devil's Advocates upon second visit, right?
Yes, yep. Once you come once, that we appreciate it. If you come twice, now you're a friend of ours.
Yes. So we declared him friend of the Devil's Advocates. Again, it's a low bar, but we declared it. But Speaker Robin Vos is now attacking the beloved city of Milwaukee. And we talk often about shared revenue, the fact that taxpayers from the city of Milwaukee pay millions and millions and millions of dollars to state government. And state government only returns about 67 cents on every dollar in shared revenue. And that puts a real onus, let's say, on the city of Milwaukee, because they don't get enough money back to fully fund their services. And what do you know? They're always in a structural crisis. Well, the city has proposed increasing their property taxes or sales taxes, different remedies, local remedies. And then Republicans say, no, you can't do that. We're going to block you from solving this problem.
Right. Republicans in Madison, not from the community necessarily, but certainly Republicans in Madison, decide for Milwaukee that you cannot raise your sales taxes.
Well, Senator Howard Markline, the Joint Finance Committee co-chair from Richland Center, got to set water policy for Dane County, which he does not serve in, at the bequest of an anonymous developer donor sort that he's never disclosed publicly. That was his explanation. So I just point out, welcome to the party, pal. But anyways, Robin Vos wants Milwaukee to explore privatizing. Isn't that Republican solutions for everything?
No, that and tax cuts.
Oh, yeah. Tax cuts and then privatize. privatizing or sharing services before he considers a dedicated sales tax. So you can't solve your own problem. I won't let you. We're not going to give you fair revenue sharing back of the taxes you already pay. But have you considered privatizing? Because, I know a couple of guys. Wisconsin Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said before he would consider a dedicated sales tax for Milwaukee, he wants leaders there to consider privatizing or sharing service to more permanently cut cost. Vos's comments come as Milwaukee faces an imminent fiscal crisis that will become more dire as federal pandemic aid runs out in coming years. And for years, Milwaukee city and county leaders have been calling on state officials to increase shared revenue. Yeah, give them back their money and expand the options local governments have for raising revenue, most notably through a local sales tax. But Vos, in an interview with the Journal Sentinel, said simply giving Milwaukee money would only flatten the city's financial problems for a few years. He's asked Mayor Cavalier Johnson and County Executive David Crowley for a list of services that could be privatized or shared. Show me some example. Listen to this quote. This is
condescending as hell.
Show me some examples where you are willing to do things that are politically unpopular because they're the right answer. Meaning, do what I tell you, and maybe we'll give you back a little bit of your money. The politically unpopular things that I govern by.
You can't figure out why there's so much animosity and politics these last 4, 6, 8 years.
Now, both Johnson and Crowley have expressed willingness to look at reforms. They also pointed to difficult choices they've already been made and cautioned that consolidation and privatization would not resolve their government's financial challenges. Johnson pointed to his shepherding through of $10 million of federal grant for 30 more police officers after the murder of George Floyd as an example of an action that was politically unpopular. As for privatizing city services, he remained wary, as do I, Dom.
Crudy, however, he said consolidation efforts were already ongoing at the city and Milwaukee County, and he could see additional opportunities for those two governments to increase shared services. Those could include areas such as snow plowing and mowing of street medians and county parks, he said. He added that a study to identify potential consolidation opportunities, largely in administrative services, is expected, and another looking for greater efficiencies in city government is underway. This is an avenue that we'll be traveling down one way or the other because it's the responsible thing to do given the time that we're in, Johnson said. As an example of consolidation, he cited the recycling facility that Milwaukee and Waukesha County share in the Menominee Valley. Still, he said, while every dollar counts, finding savings and new ways to consolidate services alone will not be enough to overcome the dire financial straits that have been worsening for decades. That's why we consistently say we need the partnership of the state, Johnson said. That's a nice way to put it. Hey, how about giving us some of our money back, state? He did not have a hard date at which he planned to provide a list of services to Vos. Crowley said it was fair to ask for reforms, but that changes Milwaukee County has made in the last decade must be taken into account. He pointed to the consolidation of programs, a new public sector partnership, the nexus of the Mental Health Emergency Center, the work on the Center for Forensic Science and Protective Medicine, and more. Acknowledging some of the reforms that we've had, I think that's extremely important so people know that this isn't just, oh, Milwaukee just wants more money. No. We've done our due diligence to find ways to create efficiencies, streamline services, cut employees. The county cannot continue to cut and cannot wait for additional revenue, he said. We have to figure out this revenue issue, Crowley said. We don't have a spending problem within Milwaukee County. We are very prudent. Very prudent, Crudy. It's a revenue problem because the revenue they send to the state, they don't get back. And then they get vilified for being Milwaukee. But I want to jump down here a little bit, Crudy, if I may. Vos acknowledged that the state has frozen shared revenue payments, money the state collects but returns to local units of government, and called the system basically broken. So Robin Vos, the one who's lamenting the angst that we have in our politics today, acknowledges the shared revenue formula is basically broken. Well, Vos, you're the longest serving assembly speaker in Wisconsin history. What have you been doing about it? Nothing.
Well, he suggested privatizing Milwaukee and consolidation. That's something. A little bit more. There are inequities. This, I'm quoting the speaker, Robin Vos, former friend of the Devils. There are inequities in the system that I could argue about all day long, Vos said. So we've talked about having a dedicated part of our sales tax going to local governments. That's all Milwaukee County wants. Republicans have signaled they are committed to tackling shared revenue during the next budget process.
Sure,
I am less convinced. And this is likely the best chance local communities have to get more money back from the state. Over the next several months, Democratic Governor Tony Evers and Republican-run state legislature will decide how to best spend Wisconsin's record-high $6.6 billion budget surplus. Tax cuts for billionaires, right? That's going to be the proposition. Can't solve any of the Milwaukee problems. Tax cuts for billionaires. That'll be the proposed solution, on behalf of the widow Hendricks and the U-Lines, kind of like Ron Johnson. What was his shocking solution? Oh, yeah, tax cuts for his billionaire donors, man. They're so
Yes, and then they funneled like $20 million back to him. That's one hell of a finder's fee.
It is. A little bit more. Milwaukee is on particularly shaky financial ground, largely due to a spike in the annual pension contribution. They will begin next year and remain in place for years to come. The jump threatens to decimate city services when federal pandemic aid runs out. Vos says, it was bad decisions made from people who are no longer in office. So I could say, yep, let them go bankrupt. That's one option, but probably not the best one. Probably not the best one. You're going to starve them into bankruptcy. Probably not the best option. Vos said he accepts that giving Milwaukee more money might be part of the solution. I'm open to that because they have this special situation with the pension. But if all it is more money and the same no revenue without reform, I'm not going to do that.
What reform, man? I mean, it costs money to do things, and granted, and I appreciate the fact Crowley and Johnson talk about, looking at these things. Yeah, there's administrative things that can be consolidated. Absolutely, we should do that. That's how life is. Always finding a better, quicker, easier, perhaps cheaper way to provide services. Good. That's a good thing. But that's the spending side. That doesn't solve the revenue side. And for Robin Vos to kind of hang this over everyone's head is just so disingenuous. Let them go bankrupt. This pension, let me just talk about this for a moment. 80% of that pension is for police and firefighters. 80%. No, I thought you were the public service, public safety guys, Republicans. You want to let them go bankrupt because of that? And granted, no doubt that there are other former Republicans. These are legacy issues that still have to be dealt with, but such is life. You could make it a little easier, Robin Vos, Republicans, by, I don't know, letting the biggest city and the biggest economic driver in the state make their own decisions on what they do with their money.
That's not how we legislate around here. There will be no direct referendums. That's way too much democracy. And of course, you elected me after a huge partisan gerrymander where basically every election favors us as the Republican Party. But you elect us to make these difficult decisions and stick it to what the most populous engine of economic growth in the entire state of Wisconsin.
But the difficult decisions, what about the flip side of that? Oh, no, we're not going to give any money to schools, so you got to go to local referendum in order to do that. Now, those are the difficult decisions, having to raise property taxes, for example. But now, if you want a school, you got to go to referendum to do it because the state's not there. So they'll pass off some of those difficult decisions, and then sometimes they'll take them themselves. I mean, it's a broken system. I will agree with you on one thing, Vos.
844-967-2789. The phone system works. PT from Portland. Welcome, PT. What do you got for us?
Hey, PT.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good, man.
I'll let you know I enjoy your show every day, but there are times when I forget the time zone. So it's like, oh, I'm too late.
Well, you can always podcast us at civicmedia.us. Never an excuse not to listen, PT.
Yeah, can you put it on iTunes, please? That'd be great.
I believe it is, man.
I think it's on iTunes already, yeah.
Yeah. We're easy to...
Yeah, iTunes, Spotify, right? Google. Yeah, man, we're all over. Worldwide.
I thought it was just I thought it was on your app. Anyways, I see Boss Popcorn Man is still being a dick. He's always been a dick. I don't know when he hasn't been a dick. He's a very vengeful type person, arrogant, condescending. I think it all started when Barrett ran against Walker or whatever, and it passed before that. But anyways, I can tell you from my own personal experience, Milwaukee is running lean and mean right now. There is no fat to be cut from the city of Milwaukee at all. And I can tell you this from the fact that the positions that are left open, they're left open on a continuing basis. So if a person leaves, they don't fill that person. So it's all the other people that have to take up the slack. It is extremely stressful working for the city of Milwaukee right now. People are just being run ragged. There is no room for cutting the fat in Milwaukee. And I hope Johnson makes that clear to Popcorn Man. So.
Well, PT, cutting the fat is what Robin Vos did with his first two wives. When he moved on to the Trade Me Up, the third wife. Quite lovely, Michelle.
I have no idea of the physical makeup of the first couple of wives, but pretty irrelevant to Robin Vos's political strategies here. And I'm with you, PT. Thanks for the call, man. Another thing I would point out as well, the county parks here in Milwaukee. At one point, I mean, some of the best in the nation. And the maintenance has just gone deferred forever. We have lots and lots of catch up to do in the city and county of Milwaukee, and the state continues to socialize the money, right? Send it all to the government, and they'll send you a little bit back. They're fine with keeping some off the top.
That Milwaukee didn't run right since the socialists have been in charge. That's when it did run right. Come back, more Devils.
I think God would want us to go to Milwaukee.
That's a great idea. Okay, how do we do that?
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics. Start a conversation at soundedouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
My fine guest, Maggie Dawn, attorney at law. I thought that the laws of the United States were supposed to evolve with societal norm. The vast majority of Americans, 70% approximately, believe that Roe v. Wade should be the law of the land. So that seems exactly contrary to the way the courts are supposed to evolve with our nation.
I'll just say this. The guy in Colorado can't be forced to make a gay wedding cake, but I can be forced to make a baby. I don't know about you, but that makes no damn sense to me.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song.
I love these nachos.
I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy.
What's your name?
You know what I'd love?
A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics. Start a conversation at soundedouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Cloudy skies expected tonight with a slight chance for scattered showers. Lows dip down to about 29. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Overcast skies again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 35. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow night. Lows dip down to about 25. A dusting of snow Saturday night. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 52 degrees.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the lines, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I found a article over at the online daily urbanmilwaukee.com. It actually sources from, Wisconsin Public Radio. Wisconsin's 1849 abortion ruling will still be a hot issue in 2023. Now, we've got a Supreme Court election coming up, and there are candidate forums, including one by our friends at WisPolitics. All the candidates will be at a forum luncheon event on January 9th. Dom, I think we should probably dip in that day. It's happening here in Madison. But I think it's going to be a big hot button issue on the ballot, Dom. According
as it should. Another reason why there's animosity in politics when you got Republicans telling, women of Wisconsin who are now second-class citizens, and, oh, yeah, maybe if you're nice, we'll give you exceptions for rape and incest. Really? Well done, Republicans. No wonder why no one likes you.
Here is what the article reports. When the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade in June, it left the legality of abortion up to individual states. In Wisconsin, an abortion ban, first enacted in 1849, immediately took effect, and legal abortion in the state virtually ended. It's been a really historic year, said Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin president and CEO Tanya Atkinson, reflecting on the changes made to the decades-long precedent of the right to an abortion. It was an equally momentous year for people who oppose abortion. June 24th, 2022 is the day that pro-lifers have dreamed up for decades, said Matt Sunday, legislative director for Pro-Life Wisconsin. And looking ahead to 2023, advocates on both sides of the issue are planning to pursue further changes to the state's law regarding abortions. Further changes, Dom. Let's see. Pro-Life Wisconsin seeks further changes. I want to get to this part. Anti-abortion advocates also have plans to make further changes to the state's existing abortion law. According to Sandy, Pro-Life Wisconsin plans to pursue legislation that would adjust the language of the current abortion ban. The existing ban does not apply to abortion that is necessary or if advised by two other physicians as necessary to save the life of the mother, which critics say is not specific enough to be medically useful. Here's what Sandy says. We'd like to tighten up that vague and undefined life of the mother language and essentially replace it with an equal care language requirement requiring equal care for mother and child.
Oh, yes. Life of the mother. Less important. It's because life of the mother is what? Too specific? I mean, you got to tighten it up. They're not tightening it up. They're changing it.
Dominic, a little bit more. The organization also plans to pursue state funding for adoption tax credits and so-called pregnancy resource centers, which some experts say are inadequate to meet the needs of pregnant people and may promote misinformation. They misinform pregnant mothers. And that apparently is okay under the Constitution, First Amendment. You can lie to people. You can misinform them. You could say, I'm an abortion clinic, and then just tell people, no, you shouldn't get abortions. Let me give you an ultrasound. You'll never want to get an abortion if you've just heard the heartbeat of the baby. According to Sandy, this is a big one because it's an abortion referendum. Talking about the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Still, Sandy says he feels thankfulness and joy for the changes that have already been made in 2022. And according to an analysis of a national study by the University of Wisconsin Collaborative for Reproductive Equity, healthcare providers have not performed any abortions in the state since the fall of Roe v. Wade. In April and May of 22, Wisconsin abortion providers reported 590 and 620 abortions, respectively, in June and August. Those numbers fell to zero. The subheadline of this piece, Dom, since Roe versus Wade ruling, an average of nearly 300 Wisconsin abortion seekers travel to Illinois each month. Or the other half of what had been the prior numbers, because they were getting about 600 a month.
Yeah.
300 are going to Illinois. What are the other 300 doing?
Well, it's governmental forced birthing. That's what the Republicans are down with. That's what they want. Government forced birthing. And I get it. If you don't want an abortion, Sandy, or any of you other forced birthers out there, you don't have to have one. That's the beautiful thing about it. but you don't get to dictate to others. I don't believe you should get to dictate to others. You shouldn't have to make sure someone has the resources to be able to travel to Illinois or some other state, or hell, by the way, this is going maybe Europe in the future, to go and get that abortion. Because those that have the money, they're going to do it anyway, right? So what does this do? It impacts the less fortunate to a greater degree.
I'm not great at doing math on the radio, but at $300 per month going to Illinois, and let's say $600 per month, people that had in prior historically sought abortive care here in the state of Wisconsin. Hagedorn only won his seat on the court by about 5,900 votes. Just since this happened, we're going to see about 7,200 Wisconsinites not receive the medical care that they would choose to get without going to the state of Illinois or somewhere else.
Oh, like Ron Johnson said.
The voting margins, if you know what I'm saying, Don.
Right. Well, Johnson said if they don't like it, they can move. 844-967-2789. Joe from Madison, let's get your take today. Welcome, Joe. What do you got?
Hey, Joe.
Oh, you can just light me on fire. I enjoy so much that Assembly Speaker Republican Robin Vos, part of the party that hasn't met, the state legislature, just remember, has not met since March, right? And they're collecting the salary of $56,000 a year plus state bennies, is saying to the city of Milwaukee, quote, you need to save money, find new efficiencies. Who better to give advice than the people who've been sitting on their tails for the last months and months, while $6 billion is clicking away and doing nothing with it, because I don't know why they haven't. But I'm furious about this. I am just furious to think that our state's premier city, job engine, we're talking about Port of Milwaukee, we're talking about, the schools, the colleges that are there, is so easily tossed off as, well, you'll just have to find some fuel efficiencies from people who haven't done an ounce of work in months. Anyway, so light me on fire and then call the police department. I cannot believe this. See ya.
Thank you for your call and your listenership, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Well, yes, absolutely. The hypocrisy knows no bounds, and there is no shame.
How could legislative Republicans be expected to work, Don? They had to get out there and campaign on their better ideas and better candidacies. And, of course, the gerrymandered legislative districts, because that helps quite a bit, I'm just telling you. Folks, we're the Devil's Advocates. A happier happy hour. A Thursday, Friday Eve edition. Whoop, whoop. Even take some early grievances if you join us at 844-967-2789. Dom, final thoughts? I know I cut you short.
No. Stick around, callers. We will get to you after the top of the hour, 844-967-2789. We're going to get through some of the new releases from the J6 committee. New transcripts are out. We'll dive into that. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Do you want Wisconsin to suck? I don't. That's why you're listening to me now. I'm Hawk, owner of the Jade Monkey. Come to the Monkey and tell them you're there because the devil sent you. Then, I can spend more money on ads and help Devil Radio keep Wisconsin from spiraling into post-apocalyptic Republican suckage. I mean, that's Iowa's job. Buy a round of the Jade Monkey and save Wisconsin one drink at a time.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Okay.
Hey, this is Matt from Design Garden. Remember when the internet was new? Back then, you had to leave your house to start a business. Companies used to pay programmers bags of cash to get online. Now, small businesses can get online with a Facebook business page, or Squarespace, or Google My Business, or WordPress. But which tools should you use? Can you afford to go down the wrong path? Design Garden uses modern tools to build your website the right way. Find us online at design.garden. Again, that's design.garden.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
ABC News, I'm Andy Field. After a complete operations breakdown during the Christmas storm and days of cancellations, stranded Southwest passengers may get some relief. ABC's Sam Sweeney.
Southwest says it plans to operate its full schedule with a few hiccups possibly tomorrow. Right now, 39 flights canceled. That is the first time in more than 7 days that we've seen that few flights canceled for an entire day. So that is the good news for travelers, but still so many people stranded.
A major snowstorm has delivered another blow to Denver. It's impacted roads and left drivers stranded. Heavy winds also knocked down trees and power lines. Soccer legend Pele has died following complications from colon cancer. He was 82. Brazil calling for 48 hours of national mourning. The first licensed marijuana dispensary is opened in New York State today. The trading day on Wall Street ended on a high note, the Dow adding 345 points. This is ABC News. At least 19 people have died from a fire at a hotel casino in Cambodia. Officials expect the number of dead to rise as their rescue efforts continue. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack formally withdraws its subpoena to former President Trump.
The January 6th House Committee rescinded its subpoena to former President Donald Trump as the investigation comes to an end before the new Congress is sworn in, sources tell ABC News. The move was expected as the committee will expire by year's end with no extra time for litigation. Trump is hailing the committee's decision a win, falsely claiming the panel likely knew he did nothing wrong. Committee members, however, have said they have withdrawn a number of subpoenas as the investigation concludes. M. Wynn, ABC News, Washington.
Analysts have a prediction about gas prices in 2023. Experts from Gas Buddy say drivers could see the lowest prices in February, forecasting a national average around $2.99 per gallon. Andy Field, ABC News.
Talk radio made for the 99%. Only on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio. From Baraboo to Horicon, WTTN 1580 AM is News Talk Radio built for the 99%. Rural Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
For Civic Media, I'm Jane Matnair with your headlines. You're not alone if you're turning to a food pantry for help for the first time. Since this time last year, the cost of food has gone up 12.4% according to the Consumer Price Index. WPR reporting food pantries across Wisconsin and the country are seeing a steady increase in clients. The price increase is also hitting the pantries themselves. It now costs them more to buy the food they distribute. A Southwest Airlines flight having mechanical issues landed safely at Milwaukee's Mitchell International Airport Wednesday afternoon. This just the latest of Southwest's problems since last week's winter storm. 32 flights were canceled yesterday and a huge pile of luggage remained stacked up at the baggage claim, either waiting to be claimed or sent on to a final destination. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN 1580 AM.
This local musical interlude is brought to you by Max Inc. Radio, VO5.
Let's do it on the dance floor. Let's do it. How we can. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Listen to Max Inc. Radio every Saturday and Sunday, 6 p.m. to midnight. Download the podcast at maxincradio.com. We are local music.
Hey, Darcy, I just saw the perfect house. Can you help me write an offer on it?
I'd be happy to, Brian. Did you see it at an open house?
No, I just called the sign and had the agent show it to me. I didn't want to bug you.
Brian, how many times have you heard me say don't call the sign?
All of them.
You called the agent working for the seller, and once you see the property with that agent, I'm no longer free to write an offer on it.
So...
You need to hire us from the beginning, help you find the right home, negotiate on your behalf, and protect your interests all the way through the process, and it shouldn't cost you a dime.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Find them at solidarityrealty.com.
It's Jackson Office Supplies going out of business sale where you get 70 to 80% off all items before the end of the year. Leave those big box store prices behind and get great gifts for teachers, students, and anyone with an office space, including you. Everything must go, so head to 4622 Femrite Drive and dive into these deals or call 608-628-4551 today. Doors close December 31st, so call Jackson Office Supplies at 608-628-4551.
Rank Seed has been breeding better seeds for generations. Each year, Rank invests tens of millions of dollars to support DNA-level breeding and new trait development. This dedication to research has resulted in numerous insect-resistant, herbicide, and drought-tolerant traits in our lineup. Rank Seed utilizes the latest technologies, including robotics and color sorters, to ensure the highest germination and the best quality of seed, tirelessly striving to better serve our farmers. From research to results, Rank Seed is rooted in technology.
Looking for a new pair of glasses? Ula Eyewear has you covered. As one of Madison's only local, independent, and family-owned eyewear stores, Ula has been connecting people with fun, unique, and stylish frames for nearly 25 years. With glasses, readers, and sunglasses for customers of all ages, you'll find a variety of frames to fit your style and price points to fit your lifestyle. So don't wait. Head to Ula Eyewear now at Hilldale Shopping Center and find your pair of glasses. Ula Eyewear, uniquely you.
You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM. And that's pretty cool.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Thursday, that makes it Friday Eve. Dom, here we are doing live radio like the greatest radio show ever should and does each and every day for your listening enjoyment.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can be a big part. Join us. You know, we break some balls occasionally, but that's how we play. But you'll have a good time, and we'll probably let you say a few things. Lightly screened by E-Bone here in the world headquarters. I'm broadcasting from the Solidarity Realty Studios, and you can call us on the phone lines. The party line at 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. Well, Dom, I'd like to start this hour's party with an intriguing headline. You know, sometimes the headline sort of sets the tone, and this one does. Trump and MAGA misfits turn on Trump's bitch, Sean Hannity. Somehow this one grabbed my attention.
Yeah. Sean Hannity being Trump's bitch. The Daily Beast, they know how to grab your attention, Curdy.
Zachary Patrizio, and he did some great reporting around the trucker convoy.
Yeah.
The subheadline, it turns out that Sean Hannity has never really believed Trump won in 2020.
What?
Sean Hannity, once the most important mouthpiece for Donald Trump, seems to be increasingly on MAGA World's outs, and a new revelation that Hannity doesn't buy the big lie isn't helping Dom. In a just released deposition surrounding Dominion Voting System's defamation lawsuit, the Fox News star said he never believed, not for 1 second, baseless election fraud claims stemming from the 2020 election. That stance, directly at odds with many of his primetime segments and the beliefs of many of his closest allies, puts Hannity in an awkward position.
Yeah, weird how that works, being a lying POS.
Among the MAGA all-stars currently upset with Hannity are My Pillow maven Mike Lindell, former Trump advisor, well, most importantly, he's a podcaster, Steve Bannon, and far-right radio host Stu Peters. Stu Peters. I don't know, Stu. Must be a friend of yours. And even reportedly Trump himself. But the person leading the criticism of Hannity happens to be an old friend, pro-Trump lawyer Lynn Wood.
Wow, that is. I love how they put this. The MAGA all-stars. Lindell, Bannon, Peters, Lynn Wood. Yeah, that is a crew of all-stars, if I ever heard any.
What do Diamond and Silk think about this?
I don't know, man.
I'll continue. In a lengthy phone interview with the Daily Beast, Wood said he first met Hannity in 1996 when Wood was representing Richard Jewell after the Centennial Olympic Park bombing during the Olympic Games in Atlanta, Georgia. Despite Hannity doing all the talking in the years that would follow, Jewell being exonerated, Wood went on to consider Hannity a friend and made a good relationship with the Fox News primetime host. Fast forward decades later to the days following Trump's 2020 election loss. According to Wood, on November 6, 2020, he sent Hannity a text message of a clip of Wood speaking at the Republican National Committee headquarters. Along with the clip, Wood expressed frustration to Hannity that Fox News cut away from his comments. What are you going to do about that, Sean? In response, Hannity appeared to have tried redirecting the conversation to something they both agreed on: election fraud. They stole it, Hannity wrote, according to Wood's screenshotted text messages, and they will get away with it, and our country will be destroyed. Responding to Wood's complaint that Fox News cut off his remarks, Hannity also made a rather peculiar admission. I don't watch Fox, he said. For his part, Wood said he's very disappointed and unhappy with Hannity. This obviously contradicts it. Wood said of Hannity's recent testimony in the $1.6 billion Dominion lawsuit. Speaking to the MAGA All-Stars for just a moment, self-preservation's a strong instinct, right?
If one would think, yes.
Donald Trump. If all the man's doing is lying through his teeth to save his ass $1.6 billion and his shared culpability therein, you got to understand why the man would be so motivated. He's given depositions in a $1.6 billion lawsuit that he's sitting at the defense table of.
So this begs the question, was he lying then or was he lying then, right? I mean, you can't have it both ways. You're either lying to your audience and you truly believe that none of this happened, but because you know how the checks are getting cashed, you lie to your audience. Oh, okay, I guess that's something you could do. I would tend to think that under oath, with the scrutiny they're under, and $1.6 billion, there's a lot of pressure, to be honest. I think Sean Hannity in that deposition was being honest. Not for 1 second did he believe it. But you went out there and sold it to all you suckers, and you all paid money to Donald Trump for his defense fund, and see how all that went for you. I mean, come on. And he still gets an audience. You still listen to him. Again, people, credibility. Where's it? What does this man have any credibility? I mean, if one thing, I'll give it to the mega Trumpsters, they can see through it. They know what's up. They know that he was lying to them. They know he was lying to the audience, because when it was all on the line and he took an oath to under God to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, he told them he didn't believe it for 1 second.
And that's why he must burn. Dom?
A little bit more here. Let me jump in here, if I may. Personal injury lawyer turned election conspiracist has since posted a blown-up picture of Hannity's face next to an image of his pit bull rescue dog named Hero. The lawyer claimed such a comparison was intended to leave his supporters to be able to connect the dots. In reality, Wood posts the comparison photos of those he views as foes. New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman and former Vice President Pence are frequently compared to his dog. But Wood isn't alone in his crusade against Hannity. Pillow-hawking election fraud true believer Mike Lindell has also soured hard. Again, a man with tremendous credibility. Sean Hannity is disgusting, Lindell told the Daily Beast. He's a terrible journalist who does not do his job or his diligence when it comes to election crime. He doesn't seem to have any concern over election problems in the country, and it's disgusting. Asked if he expressed such frustration to Hannity, Lindell said he'd of course told him, but the right-wing pillow superstar claimed the Fox News host never got back to me.
Shocker.
Neither Hannity nor Fox News representatives returned multiple Daily Beast requests for comment. Other fervent Trump backers, including former Trump administration official Steve Bannon and far-right commentator Jack Posobiec, don't know who that is, have also taken jabs at Hannity over the last week. Bannon wrote that Hannity should face accountability for terrible advice to Trump. While Jack said has taken a series of jabs at the Fox News host, including posting a picture of Hannity alongside CNN host Don Lemon and Michael Avenatti. Trump superfan Bill Mitchell responded to Hannity's deposition remarks by writing, "And just like that, Hannity ends his career." Hannity's also been called a fraud by conservative commentators. Oh, how we have fallen. The tears of unfathomable sadness. He's also been called a fraud by conservative commentators. Far-right host, you talked this guy, Crudy, Stu Peters labeled the Fox News host a clown following his voter fraud boomerang. He regularly washes and dries Reince Priebus and Sean Spicer's jockstraps, Peters told the Daily Beast. Man.
That's quite a descriptor.
Conservative media has also now gone after Hannity over his election fraud comments, suggesting Hannity was part of the fake patriot grift. Oh, there's so much grifting. I hope he got a piece of the action. Others on Telegram, such as the far-right Stop the Steal activist Ali Alexander, have found an alternative, oddly specific line of attack that Hannity allegedly wears a CIA lapel pin on his primetime show.
He's part of the deep state now.
Oh, see, this whole time. Still, Hannity could probably dismiss the dissatisfaction of most of the island of mega misfit toys if it weren't for one problem. According to two sources close to Trump, the former president himself is apparently mad at Hannity. In terms of direct contact with Sean, I think it's been a while, a Trump source said. While the tension between Trump and Hannity predates this latest revelation, Hannity disclosing that he never believed that Trump actually won the 2020 election is sure to further complicate their relationship. The relationship is complicated. Hannity was his lapdog for years, but just like everyone else who's been Trump's bitch at one point or another, the second Trump finds a reason to throw them in the garbage, he takes it, a Trump advisor told the Daily Beast.
I've got a little bit more, Dom. According to 3 Trump World sources, they must be fine. Trump is still upset with Hannity because the Fox News host advocated for Trump to endorse Pennsylvania state candidate Oz, Dr. Oz. After Oz fell on his face, Hannity found himself on the outs of Trump's inner circle. And a lot of the heartburn stems from the Pennsylvania Senate race, a source close to Trump said. Instead of placing responsibility on his wife, Melania, who also reportedly advocated for endorsing Oz, or looking inward at his own political acumen, the former president has apparently just decided it's all Hannity's fault.
I blame Combs.
Here's a quote from a unnamed Trump advisor. Hannity gets blamed for Oz because it's more convenient than blaming Melania. And now he's been shown to be disloyal under oath. So it's Hannity's turn to get tossed overboard. And while Hannity has found the ire of Trump along with his most loyal supporters, a fellow Fox News host has played his cards more carefully. It's Tucker, rhymes with Tucker. Tucker Carlson isn't openly hostile to Trump, but anyone who's paying attention knows he's not a fan either. Trump is never on the show and rarely gets discussed. Tucker thinks Trump has a lot of the right enemies, but that's about it. Dom, I'd like to think I've made a lot of the right enemies. Many enemies.
I got nothing but friends, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Really? All friends?
And lovers.
I can name it to you. Come back with us. We'll name names. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Join us on the phones. 844-96-PARTY.
What grows in the forest? Trees? Sure. Know what else grows in the forest? Our imagination, our sense of wonder, and our family bonds grow too. Because when we disconnect from this and connect with this, we reconnect with each other. The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The radio show your mother warned you about.
Actual tyranny of a dictator. Dictator's going to dictate Putin. And what did Trump do? Trump kneeled to the man, embarrassing Republicans. And you're still with the guy? This is your front runner in 2024? You've been smoking some of Mike Lindell's crack. What are you thinking?
They're the GCCCP. We are the Devil's Advocates.
Live weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
Veterans, whatever you're going through, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Missed your favorite show live on air? It's easy to find what you enjoy wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And we're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Cloudy skies expected tonight with a slight chance for scattered showers. Lows dip down to about 29. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Overcast skies again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 35. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow night. Lows dip down to about 25. A dusting of snow Saturday night. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 51 degrees.
Malarkey. The Devil's Advocates invented malarkey.
And we are back. Catch you. Smell that smell. We are the Devil's Advocates. It's 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I'd like to turn our attention to some of the January 6th transcripts. The headline here at CNN, key findings from the latest January 6th panel transcripts, including from Donald Trump Jr. Let's read. I'm going to jump ahead, Dom, because there's one that I find particularly interesting. Grisham. Now, this is Grisham, at the time working for Melania Trump, said she learned Trump thought writers looked very trashy, but loved that they were fighting for him. Stephanie Grisham, a former White House press secretary and chief of staff to former First Lady Melania Trump, said she learned from people inside the West Wing on January 6, 2021, that Trump thought the writers looked very trashy, but reveled in how they were fighting for him. Grisham told the committee, I heard from several people in the West Wing, more on the military aid or Secret Service side, and then a couple of just people. But that he was sitting in the dining room and he was just watching it all unfold. And then a couple of his comments, some of the comments were that these people looked very trashy, but also look at what fighters they were. He was kind of reveling in the fact that the people were fighting for him, but he also didn't like how they looked. More of a clean-cut looking rightist sort.
Yes. Way too many tattoos and beards and long hair. And I remember some reporting at the time about Donald Trump making those kinds of comments. I mean, hell, he'll take your vote, he'll take your money, but he's not a big fan of any of you.
I'm really shocked in hindsight, 2020 hindsight, Dom, that he shook your hand in Des Moines, Iowa at the Citizens United Iowa Freedom Summit. Being that, you look kind of trashy, man.
What are you talking about? I'm sure sexy.
Buddy, we were out drinking till bar time. You got up early that morning. I'm sure you didn't shave. We went to the rally in Iowa thing. I was there to cover Scott Walker. You apparently, bro-hamming it up with Donald Trump. But I looked back in the photographs, Tom, you look like you had Jesus mane. You had the rock and roll hairstyle. You had the 5 o'clock shadow, and you had the glossy eyes of, my rock and roll sidekick. It's only you can pull off that look.
Well, thank you for being my big sidekick, Crudy. Yes.
I look like somebody's stepdad. I look much more the straight than you do.
See, that's how it goes to show you, man. All the defendants that get convicted, most of them are wearing ties, man. So you can't judge a book by the cover. But certainly Donald Trump likes his riots, and I guess a blue suit and red tie. I mean, that's how Trump does it. That's how he wants you to do it. You got to think maybe he liked the Proud Boys. They wore their little outfits, right? And the 3%ers, they got their little, matching outfits. I mean, that's pretty cute. He's got to like that, right?
Dominic, I'd like to turn to the opinion of Melania Trump. Apparently, she didn't trust her husband's inner circle.
Well, she's got good instincts there.
Well, you know, a BSer knows a BSer, right? Grisham also detailed the former First Lady's distrust in people close to her husband after the 2020 election, including Donald Trump Jr. Certainly when it comes to his kids, especially Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle, she never trusted that they were doing things in the best interest of Don Jr.'s father, almost like he's self-interested. Grisham said Melania also distrusted people that she thought were giving her husband bad advice, like lawyers Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, and campaign staffers. She would say, I think they're giving him bad advice. I don't think this is smart. She knew, but, you know, the prenup, she wanted
Another one here from CNN, some of these transcripts, another tranche of transcripts released today. I thought this one was interesting as well. Chris Miller, who served as the acting defense secretary at the end of the Trump administration, told the committee he thought that the D.C. mayor should have greater control of the D.C. National Guard in the wake of the January 6th attack. Miller was asked in his January deposition about a proposal in Congress to give the D.C. mayor the same authority to deploy National Guard that a governor has. Because the District of Columbia is not a state, the authority to deploy is delegated to the Army Secretary by the Defense Secretary and the President. Miller said the D.C. mayor being given more authority over the Guard, being a private citizen, I tell you exactly what I think. Take it or leave it? Heck yeah. The mayor should absolutely have greater control over the D.C. National Guard. I don't know the history, and I'm sure there's all sorts of reasons that are constitutional, way beyond what I understand. So I'm just kind of popping off. But there's got to be a way to integrate her or the mayor into this process of work meaningfully and more proactively. Now, remember, Miller was appointed by Trump after Trump lost the election. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's already, pardon, a scary, scary thing. This is a civilian acting defense secretary appointed after Trump lost. Why would Trump do that? Miller testified to the committee about the lag in getting National Guard soldiers to the Capitol on January 6th, saying that he didn't know why Major General William Walker, the D.C. National Guard commander, believed he didn't have the approval to deploy. According to the January 6th committee report, Walker understood he had to wait for approval from Secretary Ryan McCarthy to deploy his forces, but as he waited on that video call for hours, he did strongly consider sending them anyway. Well, I'm not sure that really answers the question. The lag, remember, we had over 3 hours. Trump didn't do squat. The cavalry was not coming. I mean, they should have brought in the Wolf, man. If the Wolf's coming, that's all you got to say. Winston Wolf wasn't even called, man. They didn't do anything. And Christopher Miller, a part of that. I'll throw in there one more time for all you folks want to Google Charles Flynn, Mike Flynn's brother, when the Army lied about him being on the phone call about this exact issue.
Dominic, I found it ironic. Congressional Republicans have already requested documents from the Biden White House to initiate investigations, I tell you. But they've been denied access to those documents from President Joe Biden's special attorney. Apparently, Dom, they don't yet have control of the committees.
They don't have the power, man. They got to pull their He-Man sword out before they can. They have to resubmit those requests. Thank you very much.
What happens if Kevin McCarthy can't win the majority and can't win the speaker's gavel? They won't even have committee assignments then. And perhaps no pay for their staff as well. Come back, more Devils.
And obviously, if I'm being audited, I'm not going to release a return. As soon as the audit is done, I love it. I promise. I promise.
Trust me. Taking on Radio Talk Radio on both sides of the dial from Cross Plains to Cottage Grove. Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
ABC News, I'm Andy Field. After a complete operations breakdown during the Christmas storm and days of cancellations, stranded Southwest passengers may get some relief. ABC Sam Sweeney.
Southwest says it plans to operate its full schedule with a few hiccups possibly tomorrow. Right now, 39 flights canceled. That is the first time in more than 7 days that we've seen that few flights canceled for an entire day. So that is the good news for travelers, but still so many people stranded.
A major snowstorm has delivered another blow to Denver. It's impacted roads and left drivers stranded. Heavy winds also knocked down trees and power lines. Soccer legend Pele has died following complications from colon cancer. He was 82. Brazil calling for 48 hours of national mourning. The first licensed marijuana dispensary is opened in New York State today. The trading day on Wall Street ended on a high note, the Dow adding 345 points. This is ABC News.
In time, you will know the true power of Devil Radio 92.7. It is your destiny.
This is Pat Kreitlow from Up North News and our new early morning program heard right here on weekday mornings, Up North News Radio. We're a small but scrappy state-based newsroom that covers politics and policy, but also other stories that show off our state, its people, places, food, and much more. You can find all of that on our website, upnorthnewswi.com, or on your favorite social media site. Just search for Up North News WI. Don't forget the WI and give us a follow. Then, from 6 to 8 a.m., we talk about those stories and much more right here on the statewide radio stations of Civic Media. We have guests, analysis, commentary, we talk music, sports, weather, and probably a few too many anecdotes about my time as a TV anchor, a state legislator, an island dweller, and now a grandpa. It's real information and good conversation that's unabashedly Wisconsin. That's Up North News Radio, weekday mornings from 6 to 8, on the radio, online, and on demand.
You wanted information as election results rolled in, and the Civic Media network of radio stations delivered it live.
I was so impressed with your coverage, and I listened to you guys, and I got all the coverage. It was amazing.
Civic Media, the only network with news reporters and show hosts stationed across Wisconsin, sharing political insight not found anywhere else. Elections or anytime, we are here for you, your local Civic Media radio stations, and streaming on the Civic Media app.
Darcy Haber, I hear you have solar panels on your office building. Since when are real estate brokers so concerned about the environment?
Drew, you should know that at Solidarity Realty, we provide outstanding real estate service while adhering to our core progressive values. Environmental sustainability is a big part of that.
So you really walk your talk, huh?
Yeah, I even walk to work.
Come on, always?
Well, sometimes I bike, and if I have an appointment across town, I use my solar panels to charge my plug-in.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Check them out at solidarityrealty.com.
At Chad's Design Build, we care deeply about the quality of the services that we provide to our clients. An excellent remodeling experience requires communication, honesty, accuracy, and a detailed plan, all of which helps to create a satisfied client. And these commitments spell our name. To learn more about the Chad's remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com. Building a better world, one remodeled home at a time, and celebrating 30 years of excellence.
Join me, Stephanie Miller, and the entire Sexy Liberal Resistance every morning from 8 to 11 for the Stephanie Miller Show right here on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. Listen live Monday through Friday on Devil Radio, Wisconsin's home for progressive news talk radio.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Join us on the phones, 844-967-2789. Sorry, Crudy.
This isn't a theft of opportunity. You know it's my turn.
What time is it?
It's my time.
Down here. It's our time.
Our time. Dominic wanted to share a little bit more from the January 6th transcripts, and we are going to the callers, so be a little patient at 844-967-2789. Found this at the Hill, Dom. Former Trump White House Communications Director Alyssa Farah Griffin called former White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany a liar and an opportunist in her interview with the House Committee investigating the January 6th 2021. Farah Griffin's scathing view of McEnany, her former colleague, was included in a batch of interview transcripts released by the House panel on Thursday. In the interview, Farah Griffin criticized McEnany for helping perpetuate the notion that the 2020 election was stolen. Here's what Farah Griffin said. I'm a Christian woman, so I will say this. Kayleigh is a liar and an opportunist. Now, why does she have to preamble that with, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to say it, she's a liar and an opportunist?
Because she really means that?
Here's what else she said about her former colleague, Kayleigh McEnany. She's a smart woman. She's a Harvard law grad. She knew we lost the election, but she made a calculation that she wanted to have a certain life post-Trump that required staying in his good graces. She said that McEnany wasn't a true believer in the idea that former President Trump actually won the 2020 election. After leaving the Trump administration, McEnany secured a job as a contributor on the Foxy News. Well, it all comes around to Fox, doesn't it, Tom? Farrah Griffin pointed to her new cable news spot in her interview with the panel, saying she got her Fox News gig. It worked out precisely how she'd always planned for it, but she knew better. Farrah Griffin is now a co-host on ABC's The View, so she's also a little bit of a opportunist, Tom. Said that she thinks most people around Trump know that the former president lost the 2020 election. The only people I think that are true believers are Dan Scavino, Johnny McEntee, Mark Meadows to some degree, she told the panel. Farrah Griffin resigned from the Trump administration in December of 2020, weeks before the official end of the president's term. She told Politico in January that she stepped down because I saw where this was heading. And I wasn't comfortable being a part of sharing this message to the public that the election results might go a different way. But Kayleigh McEnany, according to, ABC View co-hostess Farrah Griffin, Kayleigh knew, and she made a calculated lie, Dom.
Yeah, well, and
this gig.
I would say most of them made the calculated lie, right? That's where the lack of credibility comes in. Sean Hannity, when there's $1.6 billion on the line and he's under oath in a case, he tells the truth. Apparently, yeah, I never believed it for 1 second. McEnany, you gotta know, but they know, they think, they think they play their cards right. They do what Trump wants, and Trump will be benevolent and grace them with all of his riches or whatever. But to what cost? I mean, you're on Fox News. I guess that's maybe an upgrade for you. Sure, the checks are cashing. Good for you. But you're a lying POS. You knew it. You knew it didn't happen, and you still went out there and said it. And that means that you have zero credibility. So when anytime anybody sees you on your show on Fox News, they know that you're a lying POS.
Well, probably not if they're watching her on Fox News. 844-967-2789.
All right, touche.
Jerry listing in Arizona. Welcome, Jerry. What do you got for us?
Hi, Jerry.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Self-medicating 77-year-old healthy lady.
Yeah, you go, girl.
Clarify something. I talked to you like maybe 3 weeks ago, and I said when Trump, all you have to do is Google Trump sold a mansion in Florida. I said he bought it for 14 and sold it for 95 to that Russian oligarch. I made a mistake. He bought it for 40 million and sold it for 95 million. Which is still, $54 million profit. Anyway, that's
not bad.
I'm in Arizona, of course, and we all cheat because we have mail-in ballots. Haha. This is the third state I've lived in, and it's the most convenient thing in the world to have a mail-in ballot. But anyway, that crazy Lorena Boebert from Rifle, Colorado, that won, she just ignores Amendment 1 to the Constitution, with Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. She just doesn't believe in it. All she needs to do is read Undeniable by Bill Nye. Bill Nye, the science guy.
Jerry.
Have you read that book?
I have not, but Lauren Boebert's not going to read a book either. Giving her a reading assignment is not going to accomplish any goal.
Well, this book would prove that Billy Gelder's made up God. I'm sorry, I hate to tell you, but I am a agnostic atheist. But it's because I have a brain, and you read this book, and it'll make you feel so non-guilty. One more thing, the Christian national extremists, they're just wackadoodles. They need to read this book, Undeniable by Bill Nye. I got it used on Amazon for $7.50. Anyway, Happy New Year. anyway, here in Arizona, that crazy lady, that Katie Hobbs, thinking that we all cheated. All that happened was the voting machines lost some ink.
No, Jerry,
You know,
Hobbs
and
was the
once
good
they-
one. You're thinking of Carrie Lake. You know, I'm coming out to Arizona in April for a concert. I'm going to look you up, Jerry. We're going to party, cowgirl.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Jerry. Yes, lots of Republicans, they're down with canon law. They hate that Sharia law and those Islamic people and all the religion force and all that, but they'd be totally fine, absolutely fine. Someone like Lorraine Bobbitt wants this to be some Christian governmental religion. That's what she wants. Of course, Jerry's absolutely right. We are not a Christian nation. We've talked about this before.
You saw, of course, that Rep. Lauren Boebert's Second Amendment themed restaurant apparently failed, went out of business.
Now it's a Mexican restaurant.
Ironically, it is now a Mexican restaurant. 844
I love tacos.
2789. Joey calling from Chicago. Welcome.
Hey,
What do you got
Joey.
for us, Joey?
Hey, I just wanted to say I love you guys. You guys are the only two people I can tolerate on talk radio. And just want to say keep up the good work, and I just love you guys.
Well, thanks.
Aw,
man.
thanks, Joey. Appreciate
You
it.
find
That's
us on
awesome.
WCPT 820 AM and start tuning in for the live version because we're better live. We're sexier.
Yeah, I stopped listening to WCPT, but I love you guys on TuneIn.
Well,
Oh, nice, Joey. Appreciate it very much. We're tolerable, which makes us better than most talk radio hosts, I think.
It's a low bar.
It is.
844-967-2789. I think that was a friendly call. Let's go, Paul. Tolerate us and tell us something good.
Hey, Paulie.
I don't have a lot of good, and I tolerate you guys every day, believe it or not. I mean, but it's a great show. The lady from Arizona, she was so cool. I hope she called in more. It's hard to follow that.
Well, she's got to
I don't have
self-medicate before she can tolerate us.
Don't we all, Paul?
Yeah, that's a spotted cow and maybe a Johnny Black helps. But you guys do a heck of a good job. I just want to say one thing. It should never be called news. Fox is not news. It's right-wing hate radio. They perpetrate hate and lies every day. In fact, they stir up so much hate you can't even say Democrat anymore without somebody blowing up at you. And look at the poor governor of Michigan. But and the same can be said about right radio. They were behind this Trump all the way. It's very, very sad. The truth, you guys get the truth out there, and there should have been more truth, and maybe things wouldn't have got as bad as they did. They should have never backed this guy. And like Hannity and the boys, it's all about a dollar. They don't even believe this stuff themselves.
Take this into consideration. Milwaukee, Wisconsin is the best AM talk radio marketplace in America. And I call it that because of the dominating ratings of right-wing talk radio, especially WISN and WTMJ. Those two stations have 20% of all Milwaukee listeners at any given time, day or night. And Dan O'Donnell in the morning has been the biggest perpetrator of misinformation and felonious. I mean, I use the word felonious. I shouldn't say that. I can't prove it's a crime to go to the state capitol and give false testimony under oath. I can't prove it's a felony, so felonious might be strong. But Dan O'Donnell is a host on WISN and WIBA here in Madison. He's part of the cabal. It pays him to lie to the public. Mark Belling, we referenced Mark Belling before. When he is threatening the Speaker of the Wisconsin Assembly on his show, threatening his political future, not, literally his life, but when he's threatening him, the issue that Belling is taking with Robin Vos is Vos's unwillingness to support the big lie, the fact that Donald Trump won the election in 2020. That is the motivating factor behind the Republican base. So whatever they're hoping to get out, whatever energy that's there, and of course, whatever money they hope to grift, it all springs from the big lie. And right-wing talk radio, hell, they're the ones selling it.
That's so sad, Crudy and Dom. I mean, you guys give people hope. is I've said this before. I do some driving. I'm retired, but I still do some driving, and I'm tuning on the radio, and there's a lot of other people do, and I don't know why certain people don't understand the power of AM/FM talk radio, but it is very powerful. But it's so sad that you're going to sell out everything for a few dollars. At least, the truth needs to be told. You guys do it. And when you get a Supreme Court justice wife that's even involved in the cabal or whatever you want to call it, we're lucky we got out of this the way we did, and justice still hasn't been served, boys. But anyway, I'm not going to say love, but I like you guys a lot.
So. Oh, we love you, Paul. We could say it, man. We're okay with it. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Well, really, for me, it's more like lust towards Wisco, Paul.
844-967-2789. But I would say this: it seems to be unraveling, man. I mean, look at all the headlines and the way things are going, and the red wave that wasn't. And as the weeks and months, kind of pass by and tick by, and more information comes out, and grand juries are listening to more information. There's going to be a problem. There's going to be a reckoning at some point. And as I've said it, and I know I joke about it, but there is disarray not only in the local state Wisconsin Republican Party, but you can't have a guy like Trump, a disruptor. I'll put it nicely, like Trump, and not have it impact everything that it touches. I'm going to throw this one out there quick, and then we'll get back to the calls perhaps after the break. Trump, on his Truthy Social website, he put a link to an editorial from a MAGA publication called American Greatness. And here's what that editorial said.
Oh, please share.
I have no intention of supporting a Republican Party that manifestly contravenes the desires of its voters. The RNC can pretend Trump isn't loved by the base anymore, that he doesn't have packed rallies everywhere he goes, but I'm not buying it. Talk to Republican voters anywhere outside the Beltway, and it's obvious that he is admired and even loved by those who consider themselves, quote-unquote, ordinary Americans. As the author writes at Raw Story, to further emphasize the point, the author states in the later that the editorial that, quote, if the Republican Party thinks it's not big enough for Trump, it's not going to be big enough for me either. So let's step back, right? We have Trump's bitch Hannity getting slapped around by the MAGA weirdos, so, right? So because he testified truthfully, they never believed for 1 second, but he still told something totally different to his audience, right? You got Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're fighting, right? They got all sorts of problems. You got Robin Vos, Assembly Speaker Republican here in Wisconsin, saying he's going to do everything he can to keep Trump off the ballot. These are Republicans. They're in disarray. We're the devil's advocates. We'll be right back.
He's not smiling. He used to smile. Before I ran, he was smiling. Now he's not smiling. I used to run track.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and whatever, just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Matt from Mount Horeb. Welcome, Matt. What do you got for us?
I don't get these people, man. All these teachers are groomers and pedophiles. We need them armed to the teeth. The only way.
Right.
I mean, is your name Jeffrey Lebowski? Because your mind is limber.
Oh,
appreciate you listening.
That's a great point, though. Yes, the teachers, they're the ones doing the indoctrination, right? The teachers are the ones that are woke. Give them guns.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Mama, what does the chicken say? Dog. Cat. Giraffe.
Giraffe, really? Giraffe.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov/
the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and whatever, just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Here's your Devil Radio forecast. Cloudy skies expected tonight with a slight chance for scattered showers. Lows dip down to about 29. Southwesterly winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Overcast skies again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 35. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow night. Lows dip down to about 25. A dusting of snow Saturday night. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 51 degrees.
Hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove.
The Devil's Advocates. Radio for nasty women everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the last segment of the day. So if you got something to say, hit us up on the phones. We'll try to get you in at 844-967-2789.
I should have stole it back there.
I was waiting for you. I thought you would.
Well, here's what I wanted to spit out there at the end as you're going through all the different points of Republicans in disarray. You didn't even mention the Speaker of the House, or the hopeful wannabe Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy.
Right.
On Tuesday, January 3rd. That's next Tuesday, Dom. We will find out if he is the first Speaker candidate not to win on the first ballot in 100 years. And I don't know if he's got the votes. In fact, I strongly suspect he does not. Hell, our buddy Bill Press, traveling. I hope he's available next week. But Bill Press claimed, prognosticated right here on this fine radio show, Kevin McCarthy would never become Speaker of the House, would never garner enough votes. And here is a strange consequence I was unaware of, Dom, till I found it at Politico. House Republicans fight over the Speaker gavel could have an unintended victim, their staff.
Uh-oh.
New guidelines sent to committees on Thursday and obtained exclusively by Politico and reported by the Devil's Advocates lay out a messy, complicated process for how the Speaker's race will have a trickle-down effect on everything from paying committee staff to student loan repayments. Between the lengthy Speaker fight, which members expect could go multiple ballots and even last days, and House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy's decision to punt contested committee chair elections, many staffers are facing heaps of uncertainty in the next term. And the guidance provided by the House Administration Committee and sent out by the House Chief Administration Officer points to a big warning date, January 13th. So 10 days, 10 days after they're supposed to have a speaker in place. Committees need to be aware that should a House rules package not be adopted by the end of business on January 13th, no committee will be able to process payroll since the committee's authority for the new Congress is not yet confirmed, according to a memo. Also, according to the guidance, if by the end of January 13th, the House hasn't adopted a rules package that outlines how the chamber will run next year, committees won't be able to process student loan repayments. That means House employees enrolled in the 10-year student loan forgiveness program may face breaks in service, which can affect both retirement and whether they qualify for loan forgiveness. They're screwing their own staff and probably some Democratic staffers as well, Dom, but only if they don't embrace Kevin McCarthy. You think the staffers are lobbying behind?
Right. Also from Political Crudy, some battleground Republicans say they will only vote for McCarthy. I mean, this is coming quick. So this is really going to be interesting to watch. More than a dozen House Republicans who were elected in districts that President Joe Biden won in 2020 said in a letter to their colleagues that they'll support the GOP leader for as many ballots as it takes. Rep-elect Mike Lawler, who led the letter, specifically said they would not support any consensus candidate who could emerge in the fray. Meanwhile, it's only 5 days before the body will begin voting on who will take the gavel in the new majority, and 5 GOP lawmakers are still threatening to oppose McCarthy for Speaker come January 3rd, and that's enough to block him from receiving the needed 218 votes. And what about this? What about this big liar dude? I mean, I know I got to be specific. We're talking about Republicans. George Santos, if that's your real name. What about that? I mean, is he going to sit now? Republicans are even now refuting, pushing back on him, and he's got a local Republican prosecutor who's now looking into. And I said, I'm less concerned about the lies. I'm very interested to know where the money came from.
Well, Dominic, that will all out eventually. But I would say Santos will be impaneled as a congressman. He will vote for Kevin McCarthy. He'll be one of the votes. But if Kevin McCarthy does not achieve the necessary number of votes, the majority required in the House to be named the Speaker, then and only then, Dom, can you accurately declare the Republican Party's in disarray.
I'm waiting, man. It's true.
844-967-2789. Our pal Jeannie from Eau Claire. Happy holidays, Jeannie.
Hey, Jeannie.
Happy holidays to you guys and Happy New Year, too. Boy,
Thank
we
you.
got a new year to look forward to, and I hope that everybody gets out votes for the judgeship, that's coming up in February. And I hope you guys can get some of those judges on your show. That would be really great. And you know what? People wonder why their government is in disarray. Just take a look at the spoiled children, idiotic children, taking over the Congress. Boy, that's going to be something. They're not going to get nothing done. It's amazing to me that voters aren't more aware. I don't know what they're thinking. There's plenty of information out there on Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't get it. And Jim Jordan. And, man, if people just watch those guys in action, they'd think, what in the devil is running our government? So, boy, it's going to be interesting, not real thrilling, but hey, guys, keep up the great work. And to the greatest radio station ever, Happy New Year, guys. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you, Jeannie. Happy New Year to you as well.
I mentioned before, I make the best of enemies. Really, Republicans judge theirs by the enemies they make. If you hate the right kind of people, you're my kind of guy. I mean, that's Donald Trump's whole claim to fame. He came down the escalator and he talked about murderers and rapists, and I'm sure very good people. Came down by saying, I hate the same kind of people you do. Deep down, I'm a racist, just like you are. And sadly, it's not a lack of information. It's a willing, blissful ignorance.
Well, I mean, there is that, but I think there's a lot of people are getting pulled in a lot of directions, man. People got kids, or they got a job, and they got older parents. Everyone has to make that choice, and I'm not excusing people not engaging in self-governance. I've been guilty of that myself.
I'm thinking this is starting to sound kind of confessional on your part.
I'm just saying that while you and I do this and we talk a little trash on the radio for a few hours a day, and we get through the news, and we have some good friends and we have a good time doing it, but it takes dedication and effort and time and energy and resources to dedicate to want to read up, to understand, not only to read, but to compare, to understand, to learn. And then what does it mean, and how do you apply it, and who do you trust, and who's got credibility, right? I mean, it takes a lot of time and effort to do that. And honestly, a lot of people can barely get through the freaking day, man. So I do give some leeway for folks. It takes some effort, but the good news is we'll make it easy for you. All you got to do is tune into the Devil's Advocates, and we'll let you know, because we got credibility, man. Look us up. We've been doing this how long, Crudy?
Soon to be turning 11 in our 12th year of broadcast excellence.
Damn.
Coming up soon. We'll be celebrating party style.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening to the Devil's Advocates in our 11th year of broadcast excellence. We'll do it again for you tomorrow. Wisco, raised in the Wisco in Waukesha. Empowered caregivers on WTTN. Keep it locked, Civic Media.
Do you want Wisconsin to suck? I don't.